just one more topic. I am Tridrachius.
I'm Pwn Your Mom X12 Bravo.
And I am Cedric the Butcher.
And we're here with another video to talk about the future of gaming. Kind of the theme that we've been going through for the past few episodes. With E3 and the Xbox One X preview show that we did, which thank you for the 2 new people who subscribed. Alright, thank you. We appreciate that. This episode we're going to be talking about just kind of what we've seen in regards to the changes over the last 10 years. There have been...
And upcoming changes in the future as well.
Yes. We have seen quite a bit happen over the last 10 years, and with the way things are going with mobile gaming and freemium and VR, we're pretty much going to continue seeing massive changes happen at a rapid rate. So, as kind of mentioned, we've seen digital storefronts that have become the popular place for people to consume their gaming, kind of putting a lot of pressure on places like GameStop. So, of this digital future as far as gaming goes, we're seeing, the PS4, Xbox One, even Nintendo with their new platforms. They're all having a very powerful digital outlook. We've already seen it with PC, with Steam and the Windows Store. So, just kind of looking at it, what would you say would be your biggest, most exciting thing that you've seen change over the last 10 years?
For better or worse, for me, it's definitely downloadable content and like pre-ordering games. And I've seen on a lot of forums people kind of demonizing it in the way that GameStop is kind of forcing you to pre-order games by offering you content that is technically already on the disc, but can only be unlocked through a code if you pre-order. And leaving my personal feelings aside, it's definitely a hot topic for gamers these days.
Yeah. Ben, what would you say over the last 10 years would be your most exciting, favorite thing that you've seen change within the gaming industry?
Just seeing the gaming industry, developers, and the major game
Publishers and all.
Yes, the words is that they're actually trying to do things for the gamers while doing something that they actually joined the industry for, and that was to make money. Believe it or not, they're there to make money.
It is a business.
And they're trying to find ways to make that money while still being able to deliver content for you. And I think that's what we saw at E3 this year. Was they're getting out all the content for everybody, but they're doing it in a way that they're still going to be able to do the pay to, the not pay to play, but the pay to excel a little quicker than everybody else, and just it's there, it's for everybody. But if you want to get there faster, throw them some bones, and they're going to get you there quicker.
It's freemium taken to the next level.
Yeah.
Which we've seen with stuff like Star Wars Battlefront 2.
And that way they still get to get their Lamborghini, because that's why they're in the industry. They're not stupid, and I wouldn't be a game developer if I was going to want to drive a Ford Pinto.
Fiesta.
Because that would be stupid.
And we're not sponsored by any of these companies. Just going to put that out there. But hey, we are accepting sponsorship. Kind of talking about this whole freemium content type of thing. You've been playing a ton of World of Tanks.
Yes.
A game that is one of the examples of what a freemium game is. You can download it for free, you can play it for free, but there's a lot of stuff that you get access to if you do pay.
Yes.
But, you can earn various credits and stuff in game and
I've been trying to defend this game so hard, and I'm having so much trouble defending this game anymore because it's fucking expensive, and it's stupid that it's that fucking expensive.
My issue, you brought up that, it's kind of like Star Wars Old Republic and WoW, where you pay a membership, but to that I say, with World of Tanks, it's a very linear game. You have an objective, and you do that objective over and over. You either destroy the tanks or capture the base. So with MMORPGs, you have a huge world of diverse world. You have multiple things you can do, races. You can fish. You can run instances. You can run battlegrounds. There's like so many things you can do. It's so non-linear.
Just kind of looking at this freemium model, we've seen it go from infancy to where it is now. Where big titles like World of Tanks, which makes a lot of money.
But that is one example, is World of Tanks,
and that's with the we're seeing Microsoft really push this whole like games preview thing where you can. You don't necessarily have to buy the games up front, but you're kind of part of the beta process. Now there are some like Ark that you pay $30 and you're inside of this beta and it's forever going.
So seems to be really popular on Steam these days.
Yes, very, very, very popular. We're seeing like that is kind of where the phenomenon as far as PC is going, and Xbox has kind of been able to piggyback on that a little bit.
PlayerUnknown's Underground.
Another huge game, which is coming to Xbox One.
Yes.
If you watched one of our previous videos, you would see the upcoming games.
Excited.
And just kind of talking a little bit more about those upcoming games, we're seeing like VR. VR is something that has definitely taken off over the last year. There's still plenty of skeptics out there. I still haven't gone eyes on with it yet.
I've seen like a few YouTube videos, but I haven't done any VR gaming. But
we're gonna have to do an episode on that.
Right,
especially with Resident Evil 7. He's volunteered to play.
Yes.
Actually, Resident Evil 7, that sounds scary, but I want to get into one that is like super immersive. I want someone to suggest a VR game that will make me need to bring adult diapers, because that's the kind of VR game I want to try for my first VR game.
You are asking the internet.
I am asking our viewers.
All two of you.
All right, one of you now, because someone probably just deleted us. I want one of you to tell us what the scariest VR game is, and put it in the suggestions. Because if we can get that on a VR and we can get that made available to us, I want to try it.
He will scream. It will be hilarious. I have seen this man play psychological thrillers. If I'm gonna do VR, if I'm gonna jump on the roller coaster, I want it to be bad.
Not necessarily the game, but but I've played Resident Evil 7 in not VR, and I have a feel we will have to return to this, because this is definitely going to be an episode which I am going to enjoy watching. As far as VR goes, there's things like Star Trek Bridge Crew. Being able to be on the Enterprise, everything in first person, you're looking around and you're working with other people. If you haven't played a free game, it's called Artemis. We've played it a couple times.
Basically the same thing without VR.
Yeah, you're flying around, you're fighting things, awesome. So, as far as VR goes, I think horror and first-person shooters, are the two genres that will benefit greatly from VR.
Right, and there's... on one of the E3, I think it was the Microsoft, I'm pretty sure it was the Microsoft, but there was a VR game with a side-scrolling. I didn't really understand that. It kind of threw me off. It's like, why, if you're going with VR, would you go with a side-scroller, like a platformer?
Yeah, it doesn't seem to... Platformers that are side-scrolling, kind of the 2D thing, I didn't see the selling point of having a VR system to play a 2D side-scroller. It just doesn't appeal to me because it just doesn't make sense. So we're looking at, Sony and Microsoft. They've been trying to find new ways of adding more horsepower, improving the graphics, trying to do new things with their platforms. With VR, with the stronger processors like what we've seen in the Xbox One X, with the effects of like Sea of Thieves and Forza 7, and just games that are really pushing the limits of what consoles can do as far as graphics go. So what would you say? I mean, we've got the PS4 Pro, and now we have the Xbox One X. We have platforms that are stopgap platforms. Sony and Microsoft trying to milk more life out of their systems. We've also seen PlayStation VR. We've seen Microsoft start to support Oculus Rift. That's going to become a thing. Microsoft's E3 conference had all kinds of stuff in it. So with that in mind, we're also seeing Nintendo that is essentially axing their handheld dedicated business, or starting to phase it out, phasing out their handheld business, and they're trying to bridge the gap between mobile devices and home console experiences.
Which I think is a really interesting move because, especially as of late, it really does seem that, it's been PlayStation, like the PlayStation Visa and the PSP versus the Nintendo DS, so on and so forth. And historically, since back in the 90s and 80s with the Game Boy, where they had so much success, but as of late, it seems that they aren't having that success. That the handhelds are definitely falling off. So I think that this is an interesting and brave move for Nintendo to kind of bridge that gap, because their consoles are selling really strong, and so they have the handhelds that you can dock into and play those games on your TV, which I think was ingenious of Nintendo. And we don't give Nintendo enough credit usually on this show, but that was genius. And I think just based on the sales that we're seeing from them, definitely fortifies that thought process.
Especially following the disaster of a Wii U. The Wii U was a huge disaster. So to see Nintendo pretty much right the ship right after launching the Wii U is very. We don't see Nintendo they're not going toe to toe with Sony and Microsoft. They're kind of finding their own way to stay relevant and continue fighting and continue doing their own thing.
It's almost like Nintendo has found a new niche for the video game industry by making a new kind of console.
Right.
It's a hybrid console, really, because it does everything that the consoles and handhelds do, but without doing anything that any of them do really super great.
And
it's just of good at all of it.
Speaking of going toe to toe with Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo and new consoles, the Atari box has been introduced. So there isn't a whole lot available. I've seen a few pictures, production pictures, and the box looks pretty sweet.
It looks party.
Futuristic looking design. It's interesting. We have been digging for a while trying to find any tidbit of information that we could pull together and be like, okay, so this is what we can expect.
And the day before yesterday, I did find a press release which didn't give a whole lot of information. It didn't give any of the stats on it, the specs. It didn't give, the price point. The spokesman said that they're still working on that. But from what he was explaining is they're kind of going to have vintage games brought into new modern, and then also have standalone games.
And we did hear USB ports, HDMI.
Yeah, one HDMI, 4 USB, I believe it was.
So it isn't like one of those plug and play things like what the article that you pulled up said was you can go into Target and grab these plug and play.
The Pac-Man little plug into your TV.
So. All right, we have to cut it short here. We will have to revisit some of these topics at a later time in the future. You'll just have to stay tuned. I am Tridrachius.
I'm Ponyamom X12 Bravo. I'm sorry I couldn't be better looking.
Well,
And I am Cedric the Butcher. This veteran is medicated for your protection.
If only you knew. Well, that's, for the most part, we are out of time. We are going to have to go... Oh, that's part of... Oh, okay.
Was it the puppy dog staring at the
He's trying to sell himself.
Literally.
Hey ladies, what's up?